Hi everyone, Rat here. This video is going to be a bit more rambly and a lot less audio edited than other videos. You may hear birds outside, or you might hear my neighbor squeaking above me. He seems to, be able to hone in on wherever I am in my apartment and crunch the floor right above me. I'm making this video because, well, by the title, I've kind of crashed out. I've basically just hit kind of a rock bottom point. I find it very difficult right now to expend any effort for creative work that I want to do. It's kind of funny because even a year ago, I would have just given anything to be doing what I've been doing the past couple months, just working so consistently on the channel, on my own work. And I don't regret that at all. But the thing about changing your life around really quickly is that sometimes you're, I think, just physically, mentally not ready for it. And I think I really pushed myself too hard, and am right now going through the classic burnout, as they say. For a little bit of context of what's been really getting at me, it's a whole lot of things. I usually wake up at 4 a.m., work for about 3 hours on my creative efforts. That would be writing Mastermind, drawing Mastermind, and then another hour of working on YouTube videos. I also continue that on the weekend, but just working for more hours, somewhere between 4 to 8. After those 3 hours in the morning, I go to work for 8 hours, 9 including lunch. And then I come home and I have about 3 hours before I have to go to bed. And honestly, I'm exhausted during that time, and I barely do anything that makes me feel restful. I just eat, and then I kind of collapse in bed watching YouTube videos. This has kind of created a thing where I just really never feel like I have a moment of rest or break. I think if I was more experienced or more used to this kind of schedule, it wouldn't be as much of a problem, but I've found I'm the kind of person who needs quite a bit of time to just rest and recuperate. And it makes me a lot less productive than I'd like, which just adds back in to the stress. Add to that stress from work. I mean, my work isn't bad. I don't feel stressed out doing the work itself, but there's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, I don't really know, they just don't want to be there. And they tend to act out that kind of unhappiness on everyone around them, and just makes it kind of a very stressful, angry environment that, I try to keep my head above, but it's difficult. Add to that financials. I think everybody's probably struggling with financials right now in the world, unless you're super rich. I'm at an okay place, but getting to a place where I feel comfortable and where I don't have to worry too much. When I crunch the numbers, it's a ways off. It's, at least a year. And add to that the constant, surprise costs of life. And it just kind of feels like I'm always getting reset back to zero. I've also lost about 20 pounds since January, which I'm happy about. But it is something that wears you down. And I've recently kind of hit a plateau in my weight loss, and that's kind of a psychological blow. And finally, the last couple videos on the channel haven't really done well at all. They've just kind of done modest numbers. I really appreciate everyone who gives a video a chance, but it's just kind of inescapable mental effect when a video doesn't do what you thought it would do or what it could do. And it's easy to say, oh, just decouple yourself from that feeling, but it's a lot harder in reality to put that into practice. All of these are to say that there's a lot of mental factors that have really been getting to me and have combined to kind of make me reach this crash out point, if you want to say that. Mastermind has also really been stressing me out. I think setting the due date really was extremely helpful because it got me over that hump of actually starting to draw it. I was so anxious about that and knew that I was really putting it off. And finally putting a due date really forced me to, get started on it. And I don't regret it. But what I've just been faced with since starting is that making a comic, especially someone with my skill level, it's a lot longer of a process than you really want. And it's kind of depressing, in a way. I'm really excited for Mastermind. I know all these things that are going to be happening in the story that I know you're going to love. It's just, I know those things are months, if not years out. And it's maddening, I wonder about how Robert Kirkman must have felt, knowing things he wanted to do in Walking Dead and Invincible, and coming to the realization that it was going to be, 14 years before he could actually finish the thing. And so the due date is both a blessing and a curse. It's kind of an albatross around my neck. I think I have to get rid of this, at least for how I work, this idea of a specific date, and focus more on the idea of kind of a window of release, of I think it'll come out at this time, and adopt it'll be out when it's ready kind of mentality. Along those lines, I think I'm going to stick with May, but it may be closer to the end of May or the start of the next month. It sucks. And honestly, even if I was at a point where I could work on it full time every day, I don't think I'd actually be that much more productive, because it goes back to that issue of, up until very recently, I was the kind of person who just sat around watching YouTube videos all day. And it's a discipline problem. It's a internal motivation problem. And so I think focusing on the slow, steady buildup of it is probably the better thing to do. I tend to view my growth as exponential. I think I'm in that long, flat period right now where it doesn't seem like things are growing or going anywhere, but one day it'll break through and things will start going faster than I can even really keep a track of. Wrangling voice actors for the project has been really tough. Some of the people I'm talking to, it's just hard to communicate. I think they have busy lives and they're just not able to respond as soon as I need them to. And it's stressful because I basically, with everything that's going on, I lose track. And then that makes me feel like I'm just constantly falling behind on the project. I'm not where I need to be. And also, I think this busy schedule, it's limiting my ability to grow artistically. I think I have an acceptable level, but I don't want to be 10 issues in and barely have Mastermind looking better than it does now, And the kind of schedule I'm on really doesn't allow me to do any kind of study or practice, which I think is essential to getting better. Finally, there's kind of the fears that Mastermind really won't. It's not necessarily a fear that Mastermind won't be good. I feel it's good. I know it's good. The people I've let read the script have told me they really liked it. The real problem is just kind of this feeling of, well, even if I put it out there and it's good, what if nobody watches it? You know, that's hard to get over. You know, nobody owes you watching your video, and I don't expect anyone to just watch it out of pity. But as a creative, it's a hard thing to get over. So, where do I stand with the channel then? You know, a couple of months ago, I made a promise to myself that I would release a video every week. And honestly, it's one of the best things I ever did. It got me working consistently, and it's just kind of grown from there. I started working on Mastermind consistently. It's just got my mind working creatively. It makes my day better at work. So I love that I made the promise, and I really want to keep it. The problem is that it has some very severe cons, you know, at the same time. It puts a ton of stress on me. That stress is a double-edged blade, you know. It gets me working, but it stresses me out, and it makes a lot of things harder. The weekly kind of time limit also, it tends to, in a way, limit my creativity. Doing stuff that's outside the purview of just the funny little comics gets a lot harder, because those things tend to require a lot more drawing, or a lot more editing, or a lot more time recording audio, which just becomes its own thing to process all that. And having to put something out every week, it just makes it's so much more difficult. It just takes so much time away from Mastermind, away from everything, you know? Everything I'd want to do in my life. Meal prepping, exercise, spending time with friends. And you struggle with this feeling of producing, you know? I want to be productive, I want to produce, but if it's like this parasite that's sucking the life out of me at the same time, it's just not sustainable. But I also struggle with the fear that I won't produce, you know, I'll just go back to the old ways without that weekly deadline. I'll just kind of let it slip, you know? I'm considering moving to releasing a video every 2 weeks. And by the way I'm scheduling things, that would kind of give me about 16 hours per video of work time. I think I could do a lot with that. I'm potentially, you know, considering using that first set of 16 hours to essentially just create a bunch of videos, a bunch of the little comics that will then be able to fill in the other weeks, you know? That way I could potentially keep the every week thing, but actually be working 2 weeks per video. The only issue with that is that it kind of means that every now and then I'm gonna have like a kind of nightmare week where I just have to produce 5 or 6 little shorts, but maybe that'll be the best choice. I'm not really sure. I might move instead to something a bit more vloggy like this, but maybe have some more interesting background footage. I'm not really sure. One of the things about this channel I've always wanted to be clear is that I want it to be a channel that focuses on creative work. I don't want it to be video essays or, you know, motivational, whatever kind of vlog content. But I've found that anything but the simplest kind of stuff tends to take away energy from Mastermind that is really frustrating and stressful. And nothing against video essays or vlogs or anything like that. It's just, it's not what I want to be. It's not what I want to build myself on. I've always just wanted to build myself on who I am as a creative. But maybe it's the smarter choice. Maybe I'm just being stubborn. I don't really know. I kind of want to ask you, I mean, if you're subscribed or if you've made it this far in the video or both. I mean, what do you think? Do you think I should move to every other week? Should I stick with just the funny comics? Should I expand what I'm doing to other kinds of things? If you've made it this far, I think maybe you have some kind of interest in what I'm doing, and maybe you have some thoughts. I will really take it into consideration what you say, because if you've gone far enough to want to talk to me about it, then I should listen. My plan for now is to do whatever takes the least focus from Mastermind. That's kind of the big project. That's the one I really want to work on. I'm going to focus on the most creatively fulfilling stuff. Let's say that. And it may end up kind of split between Mastermind and more in-depth content for the channel. But it's a process in motion, and so am I. I'm going to try and not let this, burnout moment take me completely off course. And I hope to have something next week that will be a little bit more fun. Thanks for listening to this video, and I hope to see you around. Wrat out.